Just want to remind you guys, this episode is presented by Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, wanted to bring you a video talking about impact of some of the 2025 Colts draft picks and what they will bring to the Colts year one and beyond. Some of these might be pretty easy to tell. Some of them, it may be a little bit harder to tell right now. So we're going to break that down right now. Cody, we can definitely say that the first round pick for the Indianapolis Colts, Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, not only their best pick, but probably the most perfect scheme-wise pick that they could have made here in this first round. Just the perfect type of tight end that fits within the Shane Steichen offense and will definitely be a huge help for this offense going forward.
Yeah, right. And if you're talking about any of these rookies, it's pretty obvious to say, barring anything crazy, Tyler Warren's going to be your day one starter at tight end. And I think Derek is the guy, and we'll get into the other ones. He's the guy that's clear cut to me. Like, he's going to see the bulk of the snaps as a rookie. Like, right away, he's going to be that starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And like you said, he's got everything you're looking for a tight end in today's league. He's really an all-around fantastic player. We know, Derek, what he can do in the receiving department. Over 100 catches last year at Penn State, over 1,000 yards. Heck, he had 17 catches, obviously, against Michael Pittman's USC Trojans. He had 17 catches in that game. And so we know that he can catch the ball, but also, Derek, he's a very effective run blocker and just a blocker in general. He's probably the best tight end of anybody in this class, or one of, in terms of his run blocking ability. So he's got a little bit of everything that you're looking for. And Derek, we've looked at it, the last couple of years for the Indianapolis Colts, they didn't have a tight end that could do all that stuff. They'd have the tight end that could, potentially do some stuff down the field, but that's really all he could do. Wasn't really great as a blocker. Or they'd have the tight end that was a really good run blocker, but couldn't really do anything in the passing game. So Tyler Warren's kind of the nice mix of everything combined into one guy, and really just for whoever your quarterback is. And that's why when we talked about biggest winners and losers from this draft, we mentioned the quarterbacks, right? Because that is going to be so helpful to them. He's going to be, whoever the quarterback is, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, he's going to be their best friend, right? Because a quarterback's best friend, especially a quarterback that's inaccurate on those short to intermediate routes, is having a guy over the middle that can consistently get open and help you out. So I just think absolutely, Derek, impact's going to happen for day one for Tyler Warren, and I think he's just going to be an absolute slam dunk in there for the Colts at tight end.
All right, let's go to another player here that some would argue might be the best value pick for where they got him, and that was DJ Giddens, running back out of Kansas State, who the Indianapolis Colts were able to acquire in the 5th round this year. DJ Giddens, who was a second team All Big 12 and a Doak Walker Award semifinalist. Giddens had over 1,300 rushing yards in each of the last 2 seasons with over 6.5 yards per carry. Obviously now gets a chance to run behind Jonathan Taylor. And Cody, you look at DJ Giddens, and you and I talked about him a lot. DJ Giddens, he doesn't have that second or third gear where, he just turns on the afterburners after hitting the second level like some other running backs do. But Giddens has just such a unique ability to be able to make people miss that despite that lack of a breakaway speed, Giddens will still be able to, make guys miss and hit the correct holes and still be able to get good rushing attempts for you despite that limitation. But Giddens, no doubt, was a great running back to get for the Indianapolis Colts as late as they did.
Yeah, he absolutely is. No question. DJ Giddens is still a fast guy. Don't get me wrong. But, there's very few, I think, backs that have those second, third gears like Jonathan Taylor does. We clearly have seen him have that, when it matters most. But I think what, like you said, DJ Giddens really, really brings to the table is I think he has some of the best vision out of anybody in this class, 100%. I mean, you just look at some of his runs, just patient type of runs, following his blockers. I mean, he is so hard to take down, not because he's super, super physically imposing, which obviously he's not a small guy by any stretch, but just because his footwork is insane, Derek. Like, it was giving me 2019 Marlon Mack vibes. Like, how good Marlon Mack was that year. Like, he wasn't the biggest guy. He wasn't the fastest guy. But what he did was he was patient. He was a very, very, very elusive back. And he just was able to find creases that really very few guys could. So I do think DJ Giddens has some of that in him. And he definitely has the size to run between the tackles, which some backs that have maybe some more of that elusiveness and can catch out of the backfield maybe don't have as much. But Giddens can. So he's not just going to be that one-trick pony, just the receiving option. He actually has some legitimacy to run between the tackles and actually pick up some quality yards. And we saw a year ago, Derek, over 6.5 yards per carry for DJ Giddens. That's pretty darn impressive, considering the fact that he also had an injured wrist for most of the season. So, yeah, I absolutely think DJ Giddens will factor in here. And, could he potentially push for that RB2 with Khalil Herbert? I mean, I think they'll all three be used in some capacity. But what is DJ Giddens' role here in year one? I think it could be bigger than maybe some people are thinking. And we'll have to see. He's going to have to go out there and earn it, obviously. And Khalil Herbert definitely has shown his ability as a back as well, in kind of spurts in his first couple of years with Chicago. But yeah, I'm very intrigued when it comes to DJ Giddens and just the different type of back that I think will bring in maybe a new element to this Colts offense that didn't have in years past.
Definitely, man. Well, let's change gears here to probably one of the bigger head scratching moments of the draft. And that was with the Colts' third round pick, picking Justin Walle, cornerback out of Minnesota, with that third round pick, 80th overall. I think it was big for a couple different reasons, and I had talked about them already, about just the position itself and the name of the player in and of itself. A lot of Colts Nation didn't know what to feel about it because, we felt like there was a lot of different ways that the Colts could have attacked that third round, but they chose to stick with a player that likely will not see a ton of action right away unless there's some injuries that happen. But Cody, you and I have talked to some people. We've looked at this pick a little more often, and, we feel that in Lou Anarumo's defense, this could very well be a pick that could work out with the natural instincts that he has.
Yeah, right, for sure. And he's got some, like you said, some pretty good instincts. So, you kind of look at it outside of Charvarius Ward, he's the only real other DB that you think might see some playing time that was actually handpicked by Lou Anarumo. So, yeah, could he have a bigger role than maybe we're expecting here, Derek? I mean, I know a lot of people, we like to point to guys like Juju Brents and Samuel Womack, but Derek, realistically, could he be that third outside corner? Maybe. I'm not gonna dismiss it because he's a little bit of more of maybe the type of defense that fits Lou's scheme a little bit more, right? And the Colts obviously did a ton of homework. And let's face it, this new defensive staff, they're not tied to some of these DBs. They're not. Now, could they still, obviously beat him out? Of course, yeah, of course. But yeah, I do think he could have a role here early, Derek. I think it'll start on special teams 100% because you have you feel like your three starters entrenched. Again, a lot can change, but you need a backup nickel. He can play some nickel, and also you need a guy that potentially could play outside if you need two of your starters to have a couple snaps they sit out, or stuff happens. We know. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all, Derek, if he maybe has a bigger role than we're thinking, because third round pick, that's pretty serious investment. So I wouldn't be shocked at all.
As we said, guys, today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Now, what is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Instead of battling against thousands of other players across platforms, you're basically picking 2 to 6
player stat projections, and you're choosing more or less on those stat projections to be able to watch those winnings roll in. It's very easy. Do you guys want to play along at some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and UFC fighter Sugar Sean O'Malley? Well, if you guys sign up today, you can find the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view the entries of some of the biggest names on the platform and be a part of that as well. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10 into $1,000 just like that with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Like a lot of other things, guys, they also offer injury insurance, so your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So if someone exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays live. So it's great bounce back for that one. What I love about the app as well, guys, is it's not just sports like NBA, NHL, football, and tennis, and baseball, and all these other things, but there's also a lot of others that go into it as well. If you like to place entries on video game situations like Call of Duty, CS2, Apex, if that's something that appeals to you, there's a wide variety of sports and video games and everything else that you can place entries on. And I love how expansive it is. Even just looking at the NBA, there's entries you can make with turnovers, with points. You can do combo deals, dunks, field goals attempted, all of these different things. So there's just so many different ways to make money off of these entries. Be sure to download the app today and use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
All right. Let's go to some other guys that, we'll likely see some time this year. We're just unsure of what kind of impact they will have. First, you have guys like JT Tuimoloau. You have Jalen Travis, who could potentially see time. We know how injuries are with this offensive line from time to time, especially at that right tackle position. We know Braden Smith has had his fair share of a few. And God willing, knock on wood, something happens to Bernard Ryman as well. Got to be careful with that one. Tim Smith, another name there that, we expect will be a interior defensive lineman to back up Grover Stewart and them. We're just unsure of what impact he will have. And, of course, Hunter Waller, who was a safety at Wisconsin, will now be moving to linebacker. I mean, Cody, I think that I probably know the answer to it. So we're going to exclude JT Tuimoloau to that because I think Tuimoloau will be a definitive role guy this year. But between Travis, Smith, and Waller, who do you think could potentially have the biggest impact out of those three?
That is a great question. I was kind of going back and forth in my mind because realistically, Derek, I mean, I know he's going to have to, beat out, he doesn't have to beat out Blake Freeland there, but you're one Braden Smith or Bernard Ryman injury away from boom. There you go, man. Good luck, Rook. It's so, but you could say that with any position. You could say that with linebacker. If you have some injuries there, who knows? Hunter Waller maybe steps in there year one. I mean, we saw the Colts give Jalen Carlisle some sort of role last year as a rookie, and he was kind of the similar way, right? He was figuring it out. He was making the transition to linebacker. Then, Tim Smith is an interesting one to me because he is a really, really strong run defender. You need really good run defense. I probably would go away from that one just because I think Grove and Buck are just on the field so much. It's just hard to say he's going to have. I mean, he'll have a role 100%. But with how much they're on the field, I mean, even if it's only for a few snaps, I think I would probably go with a guy like Jordan Travis just because the nature of the offensive line. What? I keep saying Jordan. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know why I keep saying
because it's that Florida State quarterback from last year. You probably are thinking that.
So, okay. Anyway.
Forgive him, Nathan. He's still figuring it out.
What's that?
I said, forgive him, Colts Nation. He's still figuring it out.
Sorry. There's so many guys with very similar names, and the Colts have like a million Jalen's as well. So, but anyway, so yeah, you think I would understand that. But yeah, Jalen Travis, I do believe, Derek, he will have a big role because the nature of your offensive line, we know how much it fluctuates from week to week. And, I can't tell you the last time the Colts have had for 17 games a full starting lineup. That's just the reality of it. So, yeah, I'll probably go Travis here just because I think if he doesn't beat up Blake Freeland, then no. But if he beats up Blake Freeland, I think there's a good chance he sees the field a decent amount as a rookie just because of the attrition and also the injury history, frankly, the last couple of years. I mean, even Bernard Ryman's missed a couple games as well with some injuries. So it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And if he's that primary swing tackle, I mean, we see it about every year. We saw it with Matt Gonsalves last year. We've seen it with, Bernard Ryman, his rookie season, right? So I'm going to say for him that he's probably out of the three we're mentioning, I'll probably go him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could very well be. So we'll see how those go. Now, I'm assuming that we feel that Riley Leonard likely has no impact on this team other than, for the sake of, if you're looking for a quarterback that likes to move around a lot, will likely just be your scout guy for, your number one defense. I mean, we're kind of hoping we don't have to see Riley Leonard at any point this year, but I'm assuming that we're both in the view that Riley Leonard likely has virtually no impact this year.
I mean, yeah, he's going to be what Sam Ehlinger was last year, I think. He's going to be in that role. And obviously, he's not going to just have it. He's going to have to compete with Jason Bean for it. But, yeah, I mean, I think if he wins that job, then he'll likely be the scout team, whatever, practice squad quarterback, next guy up, if you will. And like you said, if he's playing, there's a couple scenarios, and I don't think any of them are good, Derek, because either Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson both collectively suck that bad, or there's some injuries that happen. And obviously either of those, it's disaster. So, yeah, if Riley Leonard can be the Sam Ehlinger of last year and the last couple of years, you'll take that. You want Riley Leonard to be the Sam Ehlinger of 2023, 2024, not of 2022. Because if that happens, oh boy, we're in for a long season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. That was us kind of going through all of the Colts draft picks, who we see as a high-impact player, guys that may not be high-impact players right away, but let us know your guys' thoughts to some of these in the comments down below. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.